You know that weird little moment, usually on a Tuesday night, when you open your banking app just to check, and your brain is already bracing like you're about to read a text that starts with, "We need to talk." Because on paper, you're doing fine. You're working, you're paying bills, you're not out here doing anything wildly irresponsible, at least not intentionally, but the numbers never seem to stick. Money comes in, money goes out, and somehow you're always standing on that same treadmill, sweating, hearing everyone online talk about financial freedom like it's a door you just forgot to open. And the frustrating part is you can't even point to one obvious mistake. It's like death by 1,000 tiny leaks. I'm Boniface, by the way, and I spend an embarrassing amount of time thinking about money, human behavior, and why some people quietly drift toward wealth while other people sprint and still end up in the same place. And honestly, the longer I do this, the less I believe the $1,000,000 goal is about doing one huge, heroic thing. It's more about stopping a handful of very normal, very socially approved habits that keep you broke in a way that feels polite. So if you want $1,000,000, whether that's net worth, investments, business value, whatever, this isn't going to be some hypey wake up at 4 a.m. speech. This is more like, let's walk through the 7 behaviors that secretly delete your future, one small decision at a time. Because once you see them, you can't unsee them. And once you stop them, the math starts working in your favor. Quietly, consistently, almost annoyingly. All right, let's talk. The first thing to stop is trying to look like you're already winning. And I know, this sounds like a boring cliche. But stay with me. Looking rich is one of the most expensive hobbies on earth because it's not a one-time purchase, it's a subscription, a lifestyle subscription with hidden renewal fees. It starts small, a nicer phone because your current one is kind of slow, a slightly nicer apartment because you deserve it, a car upgrade because the old one feels embarrassing now. And none of these decisions feel insane in isolation. They feel like progress. But here's the trap. You're not buying the object, you're buying the identity that comes with it, and the identity is hungry. I've watched people get a raise and feel excited for exactly 2 weeks. Then suddenly their life shape expands to absorb the raise like a sponge. The raise doesn't build wealth. It builds a more expensive version of the same stress. The concept underneath this is lifestyle inflation, but that phrase sounds too academic. I prefer calling it keeping up with the invisible audience. You know, that imaginary crowd you feel like you're performing for. Even if nobody actually cares, why does it matter if you want 1,000,000? Because wealth isn't what you earn. It's what you keep and what you invest. And the difference between those two lives, spending like a winner versus investing like a winner, is literally the difference between being financially impressive and being financially free. Actionable takeaway: do something that feels a little uncomfortable at first. Create a wealth gap between what you earn and what you spend on purpose. Every time your income goes up, set a rule that at least half of the increase goes to investing or debt payoff before your lifestyle gets even 1 inch bigger. Not forever. Just until the foundation is built. Because honestly, the flex isn't the watch, the flex is sleeping at night. The next thing to stop is outsourcing your money decisions to vibes. You know what I mean? You're basically like, I think I'm doing okay. And that's the whole financial plan. You pay bills, you try not to be reckless, you save a bit when you remember, you invest when someone scares you with a headline. It's very emotional, very human. And look, I'm not judging. Most people are doing money on auto-feel, not autopilot, auto-feel. But if you want 1,000,000, you need to stop letting your mood be your CFO. Here's a tiny story. I knew someone who was genuinely smart, like the kind of person you'd assume has life figured out. But every month they'd say, I don't know where my money goes. And then they'd buy a coffee and a snack and a small thing online and a quick meal. And by the end of the month, it was like money had evaporated into the air. It hadn't evaporated. It had just been chopped into tiny decisions too small to feel dangerous. That's the concept. Your brain ignores small expenses because they don't trigger pain. They're beneath your emotional radar. And $1 million is mostly built by winning the boring parts of life, the parts your brain wants to ignore. Why it matters. You can't optimize what you don't measure. And you don't need a complicated spreadsheet, by the way. You just need a simple weekly ritual that makes you face the truth. Actionable takeaway. Once a week, same day, same time, do a 10-minute money check-in. Look at 3 numbers: your cash, your debt, and your investments. That's it. 10 minutes, no drama, just awareness, because awareness is the beginning of control, and control is the beginning of wealth. Now, let's talk about something that sounds responsible but can still keep you broke. Stopping at saving. Saving is good. Emergency funds are necessary. I love an emergency fund. Emergency funds are like seatbelts. You don't brag about them, but you'd be insane not to have one. But if your entire financial identity is I'm a saver, you might be building a very safe cage. $1 million doesn't come from saving alone unless you earn a massive income and live like a monk. Most people need the engine of investing because investing is where time starts working for you while you're busy being a human. The concept here is compounding. Everyone talks about compounding like it's magical, but it's not magic. It's just time plus consistency plus not touching it. And the reason so many people never experience it is because they treat investing like a special event. Like it's something you do when you have extra, and somehow there's never extra. Funny how that works. Why it matters. If you want $1 million, you need assets that grow. You need ownership. Businesses, index funds, real estate, whatever fits your life. But you can't get to ownership by only storing money. Stored money is a parked car. Invested money is a car with the engine on. Actionable takeaway. Automate investing the same way you automate bills. The moment your income hits your account, a percentage leaves for investing before you can accidentally spend it. Start smaller than your ego wants. Start with an amount so easy it feels almost silly. Silly is good. Silly is sustainable. Next, stop paying the stupid tax. And yeah, that's a harsh phrase, but it's memorable and it's real. The stupid tax is the money you lose not because you're dumb, but because you're tired, rushed, overwhelmed, or avoiding discomfort. It's late fees, it's overdrafts, it's credit card interest, it's signing up for subscriptions and forgetting, it's buying the cheapest thing and replacing it 3 times, it's paying for convenience because you're too drained to plan. And listen, I'm not above this. I once paid for something I could have canceled because I kept thinking, I'll do it later. Later cost me money. Later always costs money. The concept high interest debt is reverse compounding. It's compounding working against you. People who want wealth sometimes ignore this because investing feels exciting and debt feels embarrassing, so they avoid looking at it. But you don't get rich by pretending your leaks aren't there. Why it matters. If you're investing at, say, 7 to 10% returns, but you're carrying debt at 20% interest, you're basically trying to fill a bucket while drilling holes in the bottom, and then you blame the bucket. Actionable takeaway, make a leak list. List every fee, interest rate, and subscription. Cancel what you don't love. Renegotiate what you can. Then choose a debt payoff method. Avalanche, highest interest first if you're logical. Snowball, smallest balance first if you're emotional, and you are emotional. We all are. Pick the method you'll actually stick with. Now, here's a big one that sounds boring but changes everything. Stop living without a number. Most people say they want to be rich, but they don't define rich. They say they want financial freedom, but they don't define freedom. So they drift. It's like getting into a car and saying, drive somewhere better. It's okay. Cool. Which exit? The concept is clarity. The brain can't execute vague goals. $1 million is specific, but even a million needs context. By when, in what form, net worth, liquid investments, does it include your home, your business? I've met people who hit a high income and still felt broke because they never created a target. And I've met people with modest incomes who built real wealth because they knew exactly what they were building toward. And they made decisions like a person with a map. Why it matters. If you don't set a number and a timeline, you'll keep making decisions for your current self at the expense of your future self. And your future self is going to be so annoyed with you. Like, really? Another impulse purchase? Again? Actionable takeaway. Pick one clear target that you track monthly. The simplest is net worth. Assets minus liabilities, track it once a month. Not daily, not obsessively. Monthly is enough. And give yourself a direction. I want $1,000 net worth by age X, or I want $190 invested by year Y. It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to exist. Because direction beats perfection every time. Okay, this next one is sneaky because it feels like realism. Stop assuming your income is basically fixed. A lot of people treat their salary like gravity, like, well, this is what I make, end of story. But wealthy people don't just manage money, they expand earning power, not by hustling forever, but by building skills, leverage, and options. The concept here is that income is a skill stack, not a personality trait. You don't need to be the smartest person in the room. You need to be useful in a way the market pays for. That could be sales, content, coding, design, management, negotiation, systems, language skills, whatever. And I know this is where people get overwhelmed. Okay, but what skill should I learn? Honestly, pick one that, 1, people will pay for. 2, you can get better at with practice. 3, you can show proof of, because proof is everything. A portfolio, a track record, case studies, results. Why it matters. Saving and investing are powerful, but the speed of your journey changes drastically when your income increases. If you can invest $200 a month, that's great. If you can invest $1,000 a month, you start bending time. Actionable takeaway. Commit to one income upgrade per year. 1, that's it. A certification, a new service, a side project that becomes a real thing, a negotiation for a raise. And yes, negotiation counts as a skill. Practice saying uncomfortable sentences like, based on my results, I'd like to discuss adjusting my compensation. You'll survive, I promise. Now let's talk about the habit that kills more millionaire dreams than almost anything. Stop waiting to feel ready. People love the idea of wealth, but they secretly want it to feel easy. They want the perfect moment. When they're more confident, when the market is calmer, when they've learned more, when life is less chaotic. And that moment doesn't exist. The concept is systems over motivation. Motivation is a spark. Systems are a furnace. You don't build a million with one big burst of discipline. You build it with small automatic behaviors that happen even when you're tired, even when you're bored, even when you're having a weird week where everything feels off. Why it matters. Time is the ingredient you can't buy back. The earlier you start imperfectly, the more compounding has room to breathe. And compounding needs room. It needs years. Actionable takeaway. Set your minimum viable wealth system. Something you can do on your worst week, not your best. Maybe it's automatic investing on payday, plus monthly net worth tracking, plus one money check-in a week. That's a real system. It's not sexy, but it's how real wealth is built. And if you miss a week, fine. You don't quit, you return. Returning is the skill. Finally, there's one more behavior that quietly blocks the $1 million path, and it's a mindset dressed up as intelligence. Stop trying to do everything alone. A lot of people think wealth is purely personal discipline, and yes, discipline matters, but environment matters too. Your circle affects your spending. Your stress affects your decisions. Your information diet affects your beliefs about what's possible. If you're surrounded by people who normalize consumer debt, impulsive spending, or hopelessness, you'll absorb that. Not because you're weak, but because you're human. The concept, your default behavior is shaped by what feels normal around you. Why it matters? Building wealth is already hard. Doing it while constantly swimming against your environment is exhausting. And exhausted people make expensive choices. Actionable takeaway, upgrade your inputs. Follow people who make money feel calm and practical, not flashy and anxious. Spend time with at least one person, online or in real life, who's actually building something. Join communities where investing, learning, and improving are normal. And yeah, sometimes that means being the boring one in your friend group for a while, the one who says, I'm good, I'm not buying that, the one who brings food instead of ordering delivery again, the one who doesn't laugh off financial goals as cringe. Boring is underrated. So let's pull this together because I don't want this to feel like a lecture. I want it to feel like you just got your hands on a map. If you want $1 million, you don't need to become a different person overnight. You don't need to be perfect. You don't need to win every day. You just need to stop doing a few things that are quietly stealing your future. Stop trying to look rich while staying fragile. Stop managing money on vibes. Stop confusing saving with building wealth. Stop paying the stupid tax through fees and high interest debt. Stop living without a number that tells you if you're actually moving forward. Stop assuming your income is fixed and powerless. Stop waiting for the mythical day you feel ready. And stop isolating yourself in an environment that normalizes staying stuck. That's the whole game, honestly. And what I love about this, what makes it hopeful, is that none of these require you to be a genius. They require you to be consistent, a little self-aware, a little stubborn about the future you want. Because the truth is, $1 million isn't really a money goal, it's a behavior goal. It's the end result of thousands of small choices where you chose long-term relief over short-term dopamine. So here's my quiet encouragement to you. Pick just one of these today, not 7. One. The one that hit you in the chest a little bit, the one you immediately wanted to argue with. Start there. Make the smallest change that you can repeat. Let that become normal. Then stack the next one, and one day, months from now, maybe a couple years from now, you'll open your banking app on a random Tuesday night, and instead of bracing, you'll just look at the numbers and feel something almost unfamiliar. Calm, not because you got lucky, not because you found a magic trick, but because you stopped bleeding, you started building, and you finally gave your future self a fighting chance.